since 1969.
Yeah, I don't get both those fingers.
Welcome, everyone, to this regular city council meeting for Monday, May 20th, 2024. Maria, would you please call the roll?
Fritz,
Here.
Lowe,
Here.
McLaughlin,
Here.
Cummins,
Here.
Manetza.
Here. Our invocation this evening is by Reverend Art Van Wolde of the First CRC of Grand Haven. Please rise and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
One little verse I'd like to read this evening from James 1, verse 5, which I believe applies well to the prayer I'm going to offer. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously without finding fault, and it will be given to you. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day which you have given to us. And we thank you for the gift of your love. And most importantly, your amazing grace. We pray this evening for the city of Grand Haven. We pray for the city council meeting here this evening. For all who are here, we come before you and we ask you, give us the gift of your wisdom. Lord Jesus, we pray this in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. So our first order of business is appointments and reappointments to boards and commissions. Maria, would you read these?
Yes, first one, which I'd like to clarify, is a reappointment, not a new appointment. Tyler Berg, Zoning Board of Appeals, term July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2026. And the following are new appointments. Rick Norton, Zoning Board of Appeals, term end June 30th, 2026. Jane Riddle, Musical Fountain Committee, term end June 30th, 2027. And Emily Green, Economic Development Corporation / Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, term end March 31st, 2030.
Maria, would it be okay if we bunch these into a single motion? Mm-hmm. Okay, could I have a motion?
So moved. I'll make that motion.
Support?
Okay, motion by Fritz, second by Lowe. Questions on any of these appointments? If none, then would you please call the roll?
Fritz,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes, thank you. It brings us to our approval of the consent and regular agendas. I understand there's changes, or a change.
Yes, I would like to ask that we remove item 11A for future consideration.
Let's see, I didn't call for a motion on the agendas. This would be a modification. Can we just have a motion to approve the amended? Or would you prefer to have it as two motions?
We could do a motion to approve the agenda with that elimination.
Okay,
As amended.
all right. So, is that your motion?
I'll make a motion with as amended.
Okay, motion by Fritz, second by Lowe, to approve the consent regular agendas with the removal of new business item A. Anything else? If nothing else, then would you please call the roll?
Fritz?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Cummins?
Yes.
Manetza?
Yes. It brings us to our first call to the audience. This is the first of two opportunities for the public to address City Council on any item. At this time, members of the audience may address council on any item, whether on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their name and address and will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council will hear all comments for future consideration, but will not have a response at this time. Those not physically present who would like to call in may dial 616-935-3203. And please, let's respect, because there's a number of you here who would like to address council, let's make sure we respect the 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
My name is Jeffrey Miller. I live at 1120 South Harbor Drive. May it please the council, we are gathered here tonight at the People's House, Grand Haven City Hall, to do the people's business. This is not a house of worship or a theological seminary. If it were, we could debate various theological precepts and ideas. Were it the former, and regarding to the Pride Month proclamation, I could quote Matthew 7:12, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Or I could recite Galatians 3:28, there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is no male and female, for you are all one in Jesus Christ. I'm also sure that Father Jared Kramer from the First Episcopal Church here in Grand Haven could pick up the mantle and debate every remonstrator here tonight about the importance of love and understanding for everyone. The founders of this great country of ours were men of the Enlightenment, not barnstorming evangelicals imposing their views on others. No, rather, they saw the importance of separating church influences from state affairs and vice versa. And so, in this secular environment, the Grand Haven City Council is rightfully acknowledging a segment of our community that deserves our attention and respect. The lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer folks should be afforded the same courtesies that other groups in our fair city receive throughout the year, through similar edicts, proclamations, and acknowledgments. The Pride Month proclamation, as it is written, is simple, basic, and self-evident. I applaud the City Council for voting in favor of this. And why not? But before the grace of God go I, and you, and you, and you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Rich Clapp, 217 Grand Haven Airport Board. I'm here with an airport issue. We've got an increasing number of deer at the airport. I've been contacted by a patron. I think it's time to start looking at the airport for culling. This individual has been a long-standing lessee of the airport, of a hangar, and he has a personal aircraft. He was very concerned about his own safety and the safety of his aircraft. I don't think we want any crashes there anytime soon. So perhaps it's time to maybe look at the number of deer at the airport and consider a call.
Thank you.
Dennis Scott, 1530 Waverly, Grand Haven. I'm on the cemetery board, and we've had complaints about how the cemetery looks, and we all agree on the board that we need to get something done down there. It looks pretty rough, and in fact, Dave Clausen came and he made the comment that we used to have one of the best cemeteries, and now we have one of the worst ones on this side, in West Michigan. So we, as a board, as a board that recommends to the city council, we would like to recommend that you would address that problem out there and see to it that we can get our cemetery back in some kind of shape that we had it before. It needs a lot of work, and we just and the only reason I'm here is because the chairman couldn't be here today. He's on the American Legion board. They're looking into the parade, what they're going to do with the parade this year. So, anyways, we're as a board, we would like to address you, and some suggested there's a $2 million pot in the prenuptial account, and use some of that, and it looks like at the end of the year there's probably going to be a $50,000 surplus, maybe, if the budget, that's what it looks like right now anyways. That's between what's anticipated at the end of this fiscal year and what looks like it's going to be left over. So but you know, I'm not here to tell you how to do it, but we just as a board recommend it, and that's what we're supposed to do is look out for the things we're in charge of, and so we would just like to recommend to you that you might be able to get a hold of the situation and see if we can improve what our cemetery looks like. Thank you.
Thank you, Denny.
Good evening. My name is Kevin McGraw at 4215 Legacy Parkway in Lansing, Michigan. I'm the CEO of River Caddis Development. I was the developer of Peerless Apartments. My partner and I are partners with the Slegos family in the ownership of that. I've talked to several of you. We did a great project together. We teamed up with the city. I'm very proud of how we worked together, especially with the Brownfield Authority, Planning Commission, and City Council. That includes EGLE, MEDC, and the Governor's Office, because without everybody in that group, this project didn't happen. It took a long time. It's very contaminated, most of which came from off-site, by the way. We had to work with the AG's office as well. We had to dewater this site. If anybody saw it being done, it was a miracle of science. We are improving the Great Lakes, everything. It turned out great. We're very proud of it. It's a badge of honor for us. To do this, we had to show performance to everybody, including your BRA, as to what projected values were going to be, taxes, et cetera. We worked the county assessor to do that. They projected out by using comparables, which is the single way you do it when you have comparables. They gave us a list of comparables. We did not. The ones I'm going to give you in handouts that I don't want to waste time handing out and use my time, show those comparables. The biggest one was the Haven at Grand Landing, which was under construction and 2 years out. They projected that to be X. They projected ours to be X plus 10% because ours was going to be newer and brighter and downtown, even though they were smaller units. They nailed the Haven at Grand Landing. 2 years later, they had the exact assessment they said they were going to, which made us all feel good. Ours comes out a year and a half, 2 years later, and ours is not even 10 or 15% higher than they told us it was going to be projected to be. It was 40% higher, which was very unusual. We've appealed only a few times in our lives nationwide taxes, because usually they're within the ballpark. And if they're not, we usually resolve them pretty quickly. We've been unable to get any resolution whatsoever in a year, and we're very frustrated. This guts our project. When we rely upon projections and do that for the brownfield, all the pro formas, all the low interest loans and everything we did to revitalize this piece of property that was vacant for almost 35 years, it was a very difficult process. And we need your help. We just want to be treated like everybody else. Why are we being treated differently? Why is everybody else getting a 10% and we get a 40%? It makes no sense. And my understanding is the Haven actually did appeal their assessment, and it was settled after they did that. Nobody will even talk about settlement. They're saying, you can't do this. The assessor has to do it. You are the defendant in this lawsuit. You're entitled and you're authorized to obviously settle anything, or you're a defendant, and you have that authority. So we just want to be treated like everybody else. We understand that we might have to have higher taxes, and we agree with that because we are the newest and the brightest. We get it, and we're proud of that we work together to do that. Please don't let this be the last sour note on our relationship, because this isn't just an inconvenience for us. This hurts. This is wrong. And we'd appreciate your help in any way you can provide it, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kevin. I said thank you.
Oh, thank you.
How you feel?
Yes, my name is Jerry Slagle. I live at 612 Penoyer in Grand Haven. As Kevin said, we were partners, excuse me, in the project downtown. Peerless. This facility, or this area, was family-owned for 100 years, approximately. And we partnered with the city all along. We gave you free parking for 35 years. We provided 80 public parking spaces at our cost, which went into the cost of the building. We provided a city-owned parking lot on our nickel, which added to the cost of the project, but didn't do anything for us monetarily. We could have made it all grass, and it would have been a lot cheaper, but it wouldn't have helped the city parking problem. You initially told us the taxes would be $2,100 per unit, and it ended up at $2,700, I believe it was, Kevin, right? And it ended up at $4,100 per unit. Now you say, well, we could have done things in the interim. Well, we couldn't have, because we had already set all our numbers based on the $2,100, knowing that it would go up a little, but not, and Kevin's math says 40%, mine says 50. So we would certainly like to get this thing settled equitably and in a fair manner. So please work with us. Thank you, Jerry.
Good evening. My name is Haley Barton, and I'm a resident of Spring Lake, but I work and worship in Grand Haven. I come to you today to speak as a lifelong Christian and a supporter of the Grand Haven Pride Festival. As a child, whether it was at Mass on Sunday or during the week at my Christian school, the words of the Gospel of Mark, chapter 12, verse 31, were constantly declared. For those unfamiliar, they come from the time Jesus shared the greatest commandments with the world, to love your neighbor as yourself. I'm incredibly grateful to live in a community where our city council practices loving our neighbor as ourselves. Your continued support of the Pride Festival has been a testament to this. Jesus did not claim this only for his straight neighbors or his neighbors who agreed with his beliefs. He meant this for all people, including those of the LGBTQIA+ community. However, the city council is a government entity and therefore must carry out the First Amendment, separating church and state. As Ottawa County has boldly declared, we live in a place where freedom rings. We have the freedom to both host a Pride Festival and to make the choice whether or not to go to it. I myself do not like salmon, therefore you will never see me at the Salmon Festival, and that's okay. People who enjoy salmon are welcome to go, while folks like me will stay home. This concept applies in this case as well. We have the freedom to enjoy what we would like and to abstain from what we do not. I once again thank the council for providing a space to celebrate all in our community. Last year at the festival, I witnessed joy. I saw love. I experienced acceptance and compassion for my neighbors. I hope this is able to continue. The more kind and inclusive we can make Grand Haven, the better and more Christ-like our city will be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is John Scheid. I'm a resident of Allendale at 7342 Watermark Drive. and a member of St. John's Episcopal Church here in Grand Haven. I come here to express my appreciation for previous declarations in support of Pride Month made by the city and to recommend such support and approval continue to occur. I also thank St. John's Episcopal, including our pastor, Father Kramer, for the strong support for the LGBTQ community and its courage in speaking out against hatred, fear, and any unjust opposition to equality and recognition. I'm mindful of a recent PBS commercial featuring an older Black woman who says, "If you want things to get better, you've got to keep on fighting for it." Perhaps sadly so, what she says is true and is an ongoing challenge to me and to each of us. I've been dealing with LGBTQ issues in one way or another for decades, and I can tell you that it can get pretty tiring. I sometimes am tempted by the myth that love and justice shouldn't just be so hard, but we all know that it can be really difficult. Just ask any member of a minority or someone who advocates for them. Somehow, any of our communities can choose to go backward, into distrust, fear, and even hate. We have to fight against that. We must figure out what the real dangers are. We must beware of code words and phrases that may sound good and make us feel good, that buttress our biases and lead us to think and vote in certain ways. Things like family values, protect our children, where freedom rings, love the sinner but hate the sin. If they just wouldn't flaunt themselves, why can't they just be normal? Those statements weren't really intended to hurt anyone. They didn't know what they were doing. Their intentions were good. We can't allow exposure to bad books. Why would anyone allow a drag queen in a library or school? This is a Christian nation. Some of these statements at times can be partly true. Many times they are weapons and can do more harm than you may realize and undermine the health, welfare, and safety of an individual or much larger group. We can be excellent at blaming the victim. Recall when someone stood up for himself or herself or another person or group for being treated unfairly, fighting back. Our first instinct can be to suspect they somehow must be at fault for what happened to them, and we complain that they dare to have the audacity to complain, to demonstrate, to file a suit, or, God forbid, have a pride festival. I think this is the fallacy of looking at freedom and rights as zero-sum gain. If some person or group gains some new right or recognition, that the rest of us thereby lose what we have or might get. Most of the time, that's just not true. If we want to have a more balanced, peaceful, healthy, harmonious, welcoming, exemplary, and safe community, we must work at learning to be more comfortable with differences. We've likely heard that perfect love casts out fear. Let's figure out what the real risks are to our kids and the rest of our neighbors. I say with absolute certainty that LGBTQ pride is not one of those risks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Will Dickinson. I live at 116 Howard Avenue in Grand Haven. I just wanted to commend this body for its historic support of Pride Fest and Pride Month, and I hope that it continues into the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Oliver Champagne, reside at 540 D Avenue. I first would like to just commend generally the 5 city council members, one mayor in front of me. As a resident of Grand Haven my entire life, I think this is the first time I can fully say I kind of feel happy with you guys, which it makes me feel good. First, I don't know, you guys lead with questions more than most do. And I appreciate that you guys don't just see your role here, but you see it beyond us in our community, not just Grand Haven, but further than that. So whether that be the Grand Haven Pride Festival, which you guys have been overwhelmingly supportive of and helpful in, I mean, I just can't thank enough for that. You guys take time and care to hear people. In my experience attending other meetings, that doesn't always happen. So it is noticed, it is appreciated, and is very welcomed. The only other thing I want to bring up today is there's 11C. It might have been switched to 11B now with the removal of 11A. But Ryan Cummings, I think, is a wonderful, a respectful person. And unfortunately, in my case, there's a legal case against him. And I think that he deserves consideration from the city council to deal with the funds that cost to just defend yourself legally. Ryan has given me opportunities, even when I was 17, to talk with him and hear about my concerns. Even though I'm not a voting citizen, I was still living in the Grand Haven Township at the time. He does that with everyone. And I would just really, guys, you consider that you support him as he has supported our communities for so long. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mac Davis, 209 South 3rd Street. We all remember the shameful performance of 18 or so people who came into our city last year to rail against the Pride Festival. We assume there might be a similar thing tonight because of things that the GOP has said about our festival. Had I time, I could show that they have absolutely no understanding of the Bible on this matter, nor do they have any understanding of science on this matter. But I want to speak about something else. What would Jesus do? We all say that frequently. What we don't know, and this is something that may be controversial for all of you and may be food for thought. What we don't know is that research now confirms that Jesus was most likely married, that he was a sexual being, that he was a lover of women, possibly of men also. Remember the apostle that Jesus loved. The incarnation means nothing if it doesn't mean that God took on our sexuality. But then we have to ask ourselves, what would Jesus be like as a lover? And if we ask that question seriously, we have to examine our own sexuality in very painful ways, ways that the people who come in to condemn human sexuality are absolutely opposed to because all they have is a vile thing of vipers for sexuality. What would Jesus have been like as a lover? Well, he wouldn't have made love to someone. He would have made love with someone. The other person would be fully a part of that. Love would not be some rush thing. It would be a real communication through touch of the intimacy that people can attain if their sexuality is free of repression and guilt and sin and shame. Jesus, as a lover, would have taken his time. He would have been totally responsive to the other. He would have received from the other as much as he gave. Moreover, the sex act would not be something that ended with coitus. It would have been something that was continued through conversation, because genuine sex opens the soul to itself. And therefore, I think the saddest thing about so many people is not only the repressed nature of their sexuality, but what happens after their sexuality when they retreat back into their world of defenses. Jesus would have talked all through the night because genuine sex opens you to yourself and you find yourself saying things you never thought you could say, communicating in ways you never thought you could because genuine sex opens you that way. And such conversation, no doubt, would have led to further sensual intimacy. I want you to think about all of that because we've had foisted upon us a Greek and Roman view of the body as sinful, as something we should avoid. That took over in early Christianity. It's poisoned us against the real message. We have to get rid of it completely. And I conclude, Jesus would also say of those who plan to come in, whatever you've done to the least of these, you've done to me.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Chris Williams from 13245 Willowvale Drive. I'm here to speak to you on behalf of myself and my family, Shira Cohen and Sorrell. We are a queer and affirming household out in Grand Haven Township. I'm here because of a call to action from the Ottawa County GOP. In their most recent newsletter, they said, if a community wants change, creating awareness is important, and I couldn't agree more. I applaud the Grand Haven City Council for listening to the countless calls for a celebration of our diverse community in declaring June Pride Month, and also for facilitating the second annual Pride Festival at Waterfront Stadium. I also noticed in their newsletter the use of a few photos that I took at the Pride Festival last year as one of the photographers for the event. I feel I had a unique perspective of all things going on, and I was a bit surprised at the descriptions offered in their newsletter. So I thought I would bring a few of my favorites that I think represented the festival accurately. Here's some friends from Free Mom and Free Dad Hugs. That's an affirming organization that embraces children whose parents thought other things were more important than them. Here's a bunch of people doing the Macarena at Waterfront Stadium. Some people just draped in rainbows and affirming messages. Here's a dad and his kid dancing at Waterfront Stadium. I particularly loved this at the St. John's booth. God's love is fully inclusive. Here's one of the performers lip syncing. It's gorgeous. This photo was in the newsletter, and it was referred to as benign. I want to assure you that there is nothing benign about being your whole best self in the face of hatred and bigotry. There's nothing benign about thousands of people who showed up last year covered in hearts and rainbows to declare that love is indeed stronger than hate. Here's my favorite. It's a person writing, "Hello, you are amazing." I think I can speak for everybody who attended the festival last year that this was the takeaway. Every single time I turned around and raised my camera, this is what I saw. A whole mess of loving people, building others up, telling others they are loved, and without hesitation, turning to their neighbor and saying, "Hello, you are amazing." So thanks for your two.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Matt Hayden. My home is at 15053 161st Avenue. And I'm a member also of the Grand Haven and North Ottawa Chamber of Commerce. My business is across the bridge in Spring Lake, and that business name is Body House Lifestyle Club. I'm here this evening about a special request that I have in with you guys for the use of the Lynn Sherwood Stadium. I want to thank you guys for being here to listen to everyone. Also thank everybody for coming and voicing and their opinions and working for things that make Grand Haven great and wonderful. I'm here tonight, and when I think about my special request, which is for a celebration at the stadium for the International Day of Yoga, I think of inclusivity. I also think of Grand Haven, one of the things that makes it special is it's a great place to live and a great place to visit. I think that our acknowledgement of international celebrations, ones that break down barriers between people such as yoga, is something that would be really welcomed and provide great value to our residents and also tourists. This day happens to be a Friday on June 21st. It's also a solstice. We expect probably a wonderful weekend in town, and we would love to work with you to be a part of that weekend. The request is specifically for Friday at a specific time, but I'm willing to work with other people that may want to use the stadium on that evening and be a part of the community, providing just different ideas and celebrating the solstice. And in our case, the International Day of Yoga. It'd be a family-friendly, all ages, everyone welcome, 1-hour class. It would require really little from the managing people at the stadium, and I really hope that you guys can give that consideration, and I thank you for letting me come and advocate for that, and thank you all for running such a great town.
All right, thank you. Was the phone ringing? Somebody trying to call in?
It was ringing, yes.
Okay, so.
They didn't stay on the line, they didn't follow your directions.
So, okay, well, if they want to call again, they can either catch us now or at the end of the meeting. Who else would like to address council?
Hi, my name's Dave Barnowski, and I vote in Port Sheldon Township. I came here tonight because I was given to believe there might be opposition to the Pride Fest. I'm in support of the Pride Festival to the degree that I actually put down enough money to become a Violet sponsor, and because I wanted to put my name to it. I want to ask you to put your name to it too, and I hope you'll approve the resolution. That's about all I need to say with since there is no actual opposition.
Thank you. We're here to hear all views. We're not looking for opposition, affirmation, anything. We want to hear from the public. Who else would like to address council?
Hi, Jared Kramer. I'm the priest at St. John's Episcopal Church across the street, 524 Washington Avenue. I figured talking about Pride Month, talking about the Pride Festival, invariably winds up to get people talking about drag and men wearing dresses, so I'd wear my dress for you all today. I say that, of course, half-heartedly, but acknowledging that clothes change. And this is a traditional thing for a priest to wear and has been for hundreds of years. It's not scary. It's not sexualized. I remember as a kid growing up watching White Christmas and thinking Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby doing Sisters, Sisters was one of the funniest, most interesting things I'd ever seen. It didn't sexualize or scare me in any way, shape, or form. One of the things that I love about Grand Haven is the way in which you all have been so supportive. I remember when the first Pride Month resolution came through and there was some debate about it, but it was passed. I remember when the first Pride Festival came, there was some debate about it, but it continued. And then what I noticed the day of the Pride Festival was community connection. We all know each other, many of I think well enough to know that I haven't always agreed with everyone in this room about all things. But it was so cool at the Pride Festival that we were all there together to say that we value our LGBTQ siblings. We want to give them a safe place to celebrate. It was a wonderful time when we were all, despite the varying opinions we have, united in a commitment to that community. And I think that commitment comes from three values that are super important that a certain political group has been talking a lot about for the past couple of years. And that's faith, freedom, and family. I believe in the faith of my queer members of my church, and I can't wait for them to celebrate the Community Pride worship service at 10 a.m. There are people in this room I'm friends with who are atheists and who are pagans. I am a better Christian by my friendships with them and the way they get me to poke and prod about my understanding of Jesus. Faith is strongest in a diverse community. I love families. I love that we have families of all shapes and sizes in Grand Haven. It breaks my heart to have conversations that I do have, particularly with teenagers in our community who are scared to be who they are or talk to their parents. Or when I see people who are at the Pride Festival who are so excited to be there, but we're also a little scared that someone might see them and come after them because of the language adults use when talking about queer people. That is the fault of those adults to make kids feel unsafe. Not scared of drag queens, but scared of people for whom bigotry and discrimination is key. And it's that final piece of discrimination compared to freedom, which is particularly important. What happened at the Pride Festival was wonderful. There was dancing and music and fun. It was not anything bad or dangerous. What I find fascinating is that similar festivals at Grand Haven, where people have dressed and danced in ways that might be seen as provocative, no one complained about, because they were women dressed as women or men dressed as men. But when a gay person takes the stage and claims who they are, all of a sudden people raise concerns. That's not freedom, that's discrimination. Thank you for supporting Pride Month. Thank you for supporting the Pride Festival. I hope to see you there.
Thank you. Who else would like to address council at this time? There will be a second call to the audience at the end of the meeting, but that will be after all of our business is concluded. So if there's anyone else who would like to address council now or at the end of the meeting, seeing none come forward, I'm going to close the call to the audience at this time. So we have two presentations this evening. First, we'll hear from Jerry Troke, the chair of the Musical Fountain Committee, to give us an update on the musical fountain. Jerry.
Thank you, Mayor Bob. My name is Jerry Troke, and I'm the chair of the Grand Haven Musical Fountain Committee and president of the Friends of the Musical Fountain, the nonprofit organization that supports and raises funds for the fountain. Last year in April, I was able to give you an update and a preview of our plans for the 2023 season, and since this update has become something of an annual event, I've decided to call it the State of the Fountain Address. And to borrow a phrase that I've heard used at other State of the Addresses, I can tell you tonight that the state of our fountain is strong. And this is the part where you're supposed to leap to your feet and cheer for that. We've already begun our 2024 season of shows along the Grand Haven waterfront, with our first show occurring on Saturday, May 11th, a pair of shows last weekend featuring mostly new music, and our every night schedule slated to kick off this coming Friday night. Since our volunteers have been hard at work a minimum of 2 days per week since the middle of March, I can confidently tell you again that the fountain is in better shape than it's ever been. And I said that last year, and it's still true, because it's better than it was last year, and 2024 will be another great season. During our 23 season, we were able to complete a myriad of tasks from our master task list, including the installation of new garage doors and openers on the lower speaker houses and the purchase of spare lighting fixtures for our spares inventory. Our off-season this past winter was focused on two things: continuing to repair and improve the fountain and dramatically expand our music library. On the repair and improvements front, we completed 65 more tasks, including the rebuild of pump number 1 that completely solved a water leak issue that has plagued that pump for many years. Regarding the music library effort, we've had an unprecedented success. After the season ended last year, we announced on our social media pages, where we have more than 26,000 followers, the kickoff of a major effort to expand the ranks of our choreographers. These are the people who take a song and a file and apply their artistic talents using our choreography software to create the code that the fountain uses to make the water and lights and music play nice together. This process takes about 1 hour for every minute of song time, so it's a time-consuming process. An amazing thing happened after we posted those social media posts. Those posts were picked up by media company MLive, and the reposting was in turn picked up by several other media outlets, including WGVU Radio, WZZM 13, WOD TV 8, Fox 17, and our hometown radio stations WAWL and WGHN. This wave of publicity resulted in nearly 60 previously uninvolved people signing up on our website as being interested in learning how to choreograph. One of our longtime choreographers, Brad Boyink, with help from several other existing choreographers, put together 2 two-hour training courses, a basics course and a techniques course. Each course was offered twice via Zoom, and all 4 sessions were recorded for future access. Not all 60 people who signed up carried through with getting the training, but most did. And then many of those students who completed the training proceeded with the completion of a common training song before they moved on to choosing a song from our committee-approved list to work on for use in our playlists this year. We've had amazing success in this effort, with nearly 50 newly completed songs added to the library already and more currently in process. 2024 will be truly an exciting year for new music on the fountain. I would be remiss if I didn't mention some of the personnel changes we faced during the past year and are upcoming. During last season, Stacy McClellan, longtime committee member and our secretary, stepped down as her term ended at June 30th. However, she was committed enough to the fountain that she continued to participate with the committee until her replacement was finally named. As you heard earlier in tonight's meeting, one of our new choreographers, Jane Riddle, was appointed to the committee to succeed her. After last season, Terry Stevens, whose contributions to the fountain date back to 1983 and are too numerous to count, decided to step away from his activity with the fountain. He will certainly be missed, but as a result of the same publicity that's grown our choreographer ranks, 10 people have signed up on our volunteer page who have skills in PLC programming and other technical disciplines. Next month's June 30th term end date will see 2 more committee members depart: Andy Cawthon, who is term limited, and Sally Creason-Myers, who decided not to seek reappointment for personal reasons. Andy is a past chair of the committee who has served as vice chair for the past 3 years and is also secretary of the Friends of the Musical Fountain organization. As you are probably aware, he's also one of the most well-connected people I know. If he doesn't know somebody in the city, they're probably not worth knowing. Sally, the granddaughter of fountain visionary Dr. William Creason, gave us a valuable connection to the deep history and roots of the fountain. Mayor Bob is already interviewing candidates to replace Andy and Sally as their terms end, And I'd like to thank all of these people for their dedication and hard work on behalf of the fountain, and look forward to working with each of their successors. Let me close with some items that I think serve to underscore the level of community support and interest enjoyed by the fountain. To help with our annual Volunteer Day this year, which, by the way, was the most successful volunteer day we've ever had, Kristen Favreau of Peace Frogs, one of our Grand Haven retail shop ambassadors, made arrangements for the recent Volunteer Day to be a community service event for the scout troop she's involved in. The number of scouts and adults who signed up for the event was higher than any prior community service event they participated in, just because it was for the fountain. We also had a large number of volunteers sign up through our website and from the ranks of our choreographers. This large number of participants showed the power of how many hands make light work, and we knocked off a full page of tasks in about 6 hours. Additionally, I'll be appearing live on WZZM 13's morning show this Saturday morning to talk about the fountain and our Memorial Day show, and we've been asked by the Holland Rotary Noon Club to do a presentation about the fountain and our choreographers, the choreography efforts at their May 30th meeting. It's not just Grand Haven. Everybody in West Michigan loves the fountain. I'm again proud to be a part of that effort, and I wanted to thank the City Council and all fountain fans, wherever you might be, for your ongoing support of the fountain. Let's continue to work together to make sure that the fountain is forever. With that, my time is up. Any questions?
Questions for Jerry? Comments?
Just a big thank you. I heard a lot of the interviews related to the folks being able to sign up and literally create a show. I mean, what a fantastic opportunity for
It has been
even the
amazing.
layperson, right? You were sitting there saying, hey, it doesn't matter what your skill or background is, we will teach you. And so just what a wonderful way to engage the community and folks that just love the fountain. So thank you and your committee and volunteers for all your work. So.
You're very welcome. By the way, there are several sitting in this room in the front here who have been up to the fountain recently.
Mm-hmm.
Some have actually helped us with working on it, and we appreciate those efforts and the time that you spent to come up. If you haven't seen the fountain recently, some of you may not have been up there since you were up there with Dan Vivian in 2012 looking at the carnage that needed to be repaired. It is a different place, and we're proud of the efforts that have been made since that time, and that we've been able to continue to do. So if you want to come up, we're still working there every Tuesday. We'll probably be there Tuesday and Thursday this week. Come on up, City Council members, and we'll take you for a look around.
And bring your paintbrush.
Yeah.
Jerry, I just want to say.
Bob, you'll appreciate this. Bob is one of the ones who has spent some time, before he was reelected, helped us like weekly up there. There's a long pipe at the front of the fountain called the front curtain, and Bob painted that single-handedly over the course of about 3 Tuesdays. The back curtain, which is actually where the wave pipe is, but it's the same size pipe, the same length, and all of the sweeps pipes were painted on that same day that we had our volunteer day in the 6 hours that we worked on it. That's the many hands make light work thing I was talking about. That was amazing. So.
Very true.
I just want to say, Jerry, to you and your committee and everybody up there, thank you for keeping the history going. It's been in my life since it was started. You know, I've been here probably longer than most people here. But anyways, it's just amazing to see the progress that have happened up there. So thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
I'd just like to say that it's hard to appreciate what a sophisticated and complex facility we have up there. You know, it's a brainchild of Dr. Creason and others way back 60 years ago, and it's been maintained, enlarged, improved. It's not what it was, but it is an incredible facility, and it's ours. So we take good care of it. Thank you very much. Okay. That brings us to our second presentation, which is the June 2024 Pride Month Proclamation. I'll read it. City of Grand Haven, Michigan Proclamation Pride Month. Whereas the Grand Haven, Michigan City Council recognizes and proclaims the month of June 2024 as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer LGBTQ Pride Month throughout the City of Grand Haven, and whereas all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights, LGBTQ individuals have an immeasurable impact on the cultural, civic, and economic successes of our country, and whereas the City of Grand Haven is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equality for LGBTQ people in our diverse community, and whereas while society at large increasingly supports LGBTQ equality, it is essential to acknowledge that the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. And whereas this nation was founded on the principle that every individual has infinite dignity and worth, and that the City Council calls upon the people of this municipality to embrace this principle and work to eliminate prejudice everywhere it exists. And whereas celebrating Pride Month influences awareness and provides support and advocacy for Grand Haven's LGBTQ community, it is an opportunity to take action and engage in dialogue to strengthen alliances, build acceptance, and advance equal rights. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Grand Haven City Council hereby proclaims the month of June 2024 as Pride Month in support of the LGBTQ community and directs that the rainbow symbol with the word Pride be placed on the city welcome sign at Washington Avenue and 5th Street as a visible representation of the city's support. Signed, Robert Manetza, Mayor, City of Grand Haven. And this will be on our consent agenda for us to vote and ratify. And that brings us to our consent agenda. Maria, would you like to read the consent agenda?
Item A, approve the bills memo in the amount of $916,303.49. Item B, approve a resolution to direct the city treasurer to issue fiscal year 2023-24 snow melt invoices in the total amount of $84,673.35 to the applicable downtown snow melt customers as designated on the annual snow melt billing 2024 list provided. Item C, approve a special event request to hold the DDA Summer Author Series Mondays from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. from June 3, 2024 through August 26, 2024, in the first block common area of Washington Avenue, including August 19th at the Lynn Sherwood Waterfront Stadium from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. Item D, approve a special event request to hold the Waterfront Pavilion Yoga on Friday, June 21st, 2024, from 4 p.m. until 5 p.m. at Lynn Sherwood Waterfront Stadium. Item E, approve a special event request to hold the Nora Kids Series Tuesdays from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. from June 4, 2024 through August 26, 2024 in the first block common area of Washington Avenue, except for July 2nd and July 30th. Item F, approve a resolution recognizing and proclaiming the month of June 2024 as Pride Month. Item G, approve a traffic control order to install a yield sign and pavement markings at the intersection of South 7th and Cutler Street. Item H, approve a temporary use permit application for picnic tables and chairs located at 233 Washington Ave, Sherwood Forest, from May 22, 2024 to October 15, 2024. Item I, approve a sound ordinance waiver between the hours of 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. on Saturday, August 10, 2024 for the Schumacher Wedding at 19627 North Shore Drive. Item J, approve a resolution supporting a Michigan Maritime and Port Facility Assistance Grant Program application by Verplank Dock Company.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Fritz, second by Cummins to approve the consent agenda. Any questions on the motion? If not, would you please call the roll?
Fritz?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
Cummins?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Manetza?
Yes. All right, our first item of new business was, item A was removed prior to approval of the agenda. And that was for the interest of the audience, there was a technicality about the publishing of the specific language of the ordinance amendment. And so that needs to be revisited. So that brings us to our item B, the new item A. Would you please read that?
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to approve the proposed fiscal year 2024-2025 budget, millage rates, 1% tax administration fee, capital plan, and fee schedule for the City of Grand Haven fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending June 30, 2025. Administration recommends approval.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
That was a tie. All right.
I'll give it
I'll
to,
support
I'll give it
that.
to Karen.
Oh, okay.
Okay, motion by Lowe, second by McLaughlin. Were there changes, would you please, I know there were a few, would you, Emily, would you please summarize any changes since our public hearing?
Yes, Emily Green, Finance Director. Were a few changes, given that the budget is an ever-changing item. The general fund changed line items for the Finance Department and the HR Department. There was no net change, but there were some changes, so if you compare the line items, you will see a difference. The NORA, with the rec summer school, there was additional program funding for revenue and expenses relating to that. So the NORA Fund 508 changed as well. Sewer Authority Fund 509, some line item changes updating operational expenses. The Nows Water Treatment Plant Fund 510, line item changes with additional revenue and updated expenditures, excuse me. The Harbor Island Remediation Fund 410, the BLP expenses and reimbursements were included because the expenses will be expensed through the city and then reimbursed by the BLP, so I had to add those in. In the capital plan, NOWS Fund 510, the Lake Michigan Pump Station Security Camera Project was moved up to the current fiscal year 23-24. And then the fee schedule under Public Works, the monthly public space rental, there was a correction. It was listed at $250 for the 200 square feet or a parking space, and it was supposed to be $1.25 per square foot. So I wanted to bring that to your attention as well.
Okay. Any other comments from staff about the budget resolution?
Nope, nothing in addition to what was presented at the public hearing.
Okay, questions and comments from council? Any?
I'm good.
It's been a long process, and it's been a very detailed process and an extremely open and transparent process. We've been at this since January. Here we are in May, and it's time to adopt. And so if there's any other concerns by council, but otherwise I think we have a complete document. And as Emily says, a living document, which we'll see its share of adjustment as time goes. That's how it works. If there's no other comments, would you please call the roll?
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes. All right, item C. A consideration by City Council to provide litigation defense for a lawsuit filed against Ryan Cummins by David R. Walters. City Attorney's opinion, which he's welcome to chime in on, is that Councilmember Cummins cannot participate in the discussion or the vote. And I believe that the recommendation is that he should join the audience.
Correct.
Okay. Now, this does, ordinarily, when someone recuses themselves for a perceived conflict of interest, there would be a vote by council to affirm that. The way the charter reads, we've been told that that's not necessary in this case. Okay, so I read the item,
We need a motion.
and I'll need a motion.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion by Lowe, second by McLaughlin for consideration of this item. It's not worded specifically as a resolution in our agenda. I don't think we have supporting documentation. I guess I would invite either Mr. Bolche or staff to introduce this.
Well, the request to me was to give an opinion on the legality, the ability of the city council to provide an insurance defense for Ryan Cummins and to defend him against the claims made in the lawsuit in question. In my opinion, I think that the allegation that it was directed to him as an individual notwithstanding, I think it was clearly directed at him as a council person. I'm frankly very surprised that our insurance carrier has not provided an insurance defense. In fact, our insurance agent is, or I'm not sure the title, the initial reaction was, of course, we'll provide a defense, and they were going to advise us who that was, and then they said, oops.
We're going to reconsider that. We don't think we do cover that, but they haven't confirmed that either. And I think we need to take a close look at that. The BLP coverage for Andrea Hendrick, who is in the same position, was very fast and unquestioned. And frankly, I think that there is legal authority, absolutely, for the city council to provide an insurance defense for Ryan.
Okay. Okay, let's discuss here.
Yeah, I'd like to make a few comments on this.
Okay, go ahead.
I've served on several private and nonprofit boards in my 30 years of working. Directors and officers indemnification liability insurance is pretty standard for someone like me who has a lot to lose before you would agree to be on any kind of board. And certainly I was assured that the city of Grand Haven had such, a reasonable amount of insurance. Now, some of you might ask, why is such liability insurance needed? Well, the Michigan Municipal League has this to say in its handbook for municipal officials, Chapter 15, page 64. Quote, generally, city and village councils and their individual elected officials have personal immunity from liability of their decisions. Local government would truly come to a standstill if elected officials could be successfully sued by the losers of every motion or issue which they voted or deliberated on, end quote. Wealthy individuals, special interest groups, disgruntled employees, just people with an issue would use their money and threat of lawsuits to intimidate elected officials into voting in their favor. Instead of acting in the best interest of the community, our elected officials might be inflicted with litigation paralysis by making no decisions or perhaps the wrong decisions to avoid personal lawsuits. Unfortunately, some lawsuits are now common even in a small town like ours. Michigan Act 170 of 1964 gives us the legal authority to pass a resolution and provide coverage regardless of the insurance carrier determination. The resolution before us is not about Mayor Pro Tem comments, and it's not about whether you or I agree with his stance on any particular issue, past or present. This is about an obligation we have to our elected officials, as well as to our city employees and volunteer board and commission members. If we do not protect our elected officials from frivolous lawsuits such as this, in my opinion, then what hope do we have that our volunteer commission members and employees have? We need to send a strong message that the use of lawsuits to threaten and intimidate city officials, employees, and volunteers for our city is just unacceptable. In closing, I respectfully ask my fellow council members to join me in voting yes tonight. Make no mistake, the unintended consequences of voting no tonight are substantial and far-reaching. Without that vote of support, every city employee, commission volunteer, as well as each of us at this table tonight needs to stop and reevaluate whether or not they can afford to volunteer for municipal government. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Calvin or Mike?
You kind of covered it all, Karen. Exactly what I was going to say. I think it's something that we have to protect both ourselves and all city employees and volunteer groups. I think we have to send that message. And if none of us want to be, sued and could in fact threaten our threaten the money that we have in our pockets. And I just don't think that is something that we should take seriously. And for us to say no on this could threaten Mike's business, could threaten Bob personally. So I think it's imperative that we pass this.
Thank you, Kevin. Mike?
We do have insurance, and they have not yet made a decision. Is that correct?
We have not received an official denial, correct?
We haven't received anything back from them yet. So I think we're just kind of like putting the horse before the cart right now. I'm in the lawsuit. Has the lawsuit actually been filed yet?
Well, the lawsuit has been filed with the court. It has not been served
Has it not been served yet?
on all of the defendants, and I believe that lack of service includes Ryan. The representation from the insurance company by email is that an official answer will be coming, but in the meantime, they advise whatever needs to be done to prevent a default needs to be done by the city or by Mr. Cummins personally. That clock hasn't started. Once it starts, we can't wait for an insurance defense official position and risk a default, but we aren't in that point where the clock is running right now.
How long is that clock?
Depends on the type of service, but generally 21 days.
I know that as I sit behind this chair here and what I say here, I'm pretty much covered here, if I remember correctly, from the day I was elected here. But what I say out in the public out there and what my actions are is my own actions. So I have no idea, but I'm not in favor of this right now at the moment. I just want to see what the insurance company says.
Okay, Mike.
That's all I got to say.
All right, thanks, Mike. All right, so my take on this is that I think this comes to us too soon because the service hasn't been made yet on the suit, and we don't have the official rationale for the denial by the insurance. In fact, we don't even have the official denial, much less the rationale. So we're a little premature. I think we are slightly ahead of events here. That being said, the time will come when the kind of compelling events will arrive. There will be time. My take on this is that, like Mike says, what we do as official acts in this meeting room in the course of our official duties, we generally are taken as responsible officials and have a certain level of immunity just because unless we do something egregious, we are doing our jobs. When we get outside of here and we make statements in the public, then especially if you make posts on social media, I think there's a certain amount of risk you assume when you do that, especially when it's on a private Facebook page or something like that. I'm not going to comment on the merits of this case at all. I think that will play itself out. I don't think it's appropriate for us to sit here in this official meeting and talk about the specific merits of this suit. I think it's more the process of what do we do about it. I think that Mr. Bolche makes a good point when he talks about whether or not Ryan is being sued as a council member or as a private individual. Many other private individuals who spoke equally or more so have not been sued. And that would tend to point out that Mr. Cummins is being sued because he is a member of council, whether his actions were official ones or not. And I think that Councilmember Lowe makes another very important point is that we have to be sensitive to the risks that people assume when they assume public office, that we don't want to have a chilling effect on the participation of the public in this process of being council members and potentially being at risk. I'm reminded a bit of the fate of the previous Duncan Park Commission, which was sued when Chance Nash was killed in Duncan Park in 2009, I think it was, that all those members of that commission were sued. They were not strictly government officials. They didn't enjoy any level of immunity. We gave them some protection as best we could from the lawsuit and such, but they all quit and nobody would take their places. And we had to restructure that commission entirely, just largely because of that kind of risk and liability. That's not a good way for cities to function. So I'm willing to support this, but I want to support it basically with 3 conditions I would put on this. One is that I want the resolution to be effective only after Mr. Cummins has been served, so that we will commit to defending him once service is made. And that hasn't happened yet, but it's bound to. I'm sure it's going a matter of time. So I want the resolution to recognize that he's not been served yet, but that when he does, then this is being made available. I want the resolution to be effective after the city exhausts any appeals to our insurance. In other words, I think our insurance should stand first in line to defend Mr. Cummins as they were contracted to do through a policy. If they have a denial, then we can appeal the denial. If the denials are exhausted and there's nothing left, then I think that's when the city steps in. But in the meantime, I think the insurance, that's why we have it. They should pick up this cost rather than having the city pick it up directly. And finally, I think that the choice of defense counsel is relevant. My understanding is that Dickinson Wright may not be the proper choice for defense. From words I've heard from Mr. Bolche, whether they are or not, I think that the choice of counsel should be mutually agreeable, or mutually acceptable to Mr. Cummins and to the city administration, so that we have a say in the defense that is being presented that we are helping to pay for. So I would like to see those three conditions as part of an approval for saying let's go forward with the defense.
Can you read the second one again?
I'll read them all three. I think the resolution should be effective after Mr. Cummins is served with the suit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the resolution should be effective after the city exhausts its appeals for the insurance denial. So in other words, why did they deny? We don't know. We appeal that, and they come back and say, no, you're denied, and we exhaust those appeals. That's when the city would step in and use our own checkbook to pay for this, because otherwise we should be using our insurance. And thirdly, I want the choice of defense counsel to be mutually acceptable to both Mr. Cummins and to city administration.
Well, I don't understand, I guess I don't understand the second one.
Why not?
Could I comment on it?
Sure, yeah.
There is no way in the world the appeal to the insurance company will be resolved before the deadline to respond, and either someone will respond or there will be a default. It just isn't going to happen within 21 days. Even if it happened in 21 days, that means someone had to scramble and take action on that particular day to answer. But insurance appeals will probably take months at least.
And then Ryan would not have representation under this.
Well, then how about if we find out at least what the denial is? Let's find out what the denial is, whether we can exhaust that appeal or not.
An official denial with.
We ought to have that, and we don't have that.
Well, again, the letter from the insurance company says, you are advised, do whatever you need to do to avoid a default. We'll get you an official answer, but it's been 2 weeks and we haven't heard from them, so I don't know how long it will take them. I just need to let you know that. So I don't know. I'm surprised Mr. Cummins hasn't been served yet. I'm surprised we don't have an answer from the insurance company yet. I don't know how those two will interplay. At some point, one of them is going to happen, and if Mr. Cummins gets served tomorrow, 21 days start to roll, and if we get I don't know when we're going to get an official answer from the insurance company. So I just want to make sure we cover what do we do in that case.
Well, what I'm trying to get to is that insurance, if it's applicable, should come before we start writing the checks.
I understand, but at this point, they have no intention of paying anything.
Would you like me to read part of the email that we were sent on May 7th from the insurance company?
Sure, go ahead, that might help. It might help me to understand.
Okay. It says, all I spoke too soon regarding the coverage for this matter. Based on our preliminary analysis, it appears that there may not be insurance coverage due to an endorsement that excludes coverage for this matter in its entirety. While our coverage review is pending, the city should retain/maintain legal representation in this matter to protect its interest. This includes, but is not limited to, timely responding to any pleadings, court documents, orders, etc. Failure to do so could result in a judgment. In the event there is coverage, we will reimburse the city for its reasonably incurred attorney fees from the date we receive this claim through the assignment of panel counsel. Please be advised that this acknowledgement does not constitute a position regarding the existence and scope of insurance coverage. This carrier retains the right to limit or deny coverage in whole or in part in accordance with the insurance policy and applicable law. Investigation of this claim by or at the direction of the carrier or an assignment to defense counsel, experts, or other service providers shall not be construed as a waiver of coverage defense, nor shall the carrier be stopped from asserting such coverage defense at a later date. And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay. So what they're saying in their email is that if coverage is granted, they'll pay after the fact?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think that makes me feel better. So I would drop that one, but I still like my first and third conditions.
And so you trust the insurance companies, right?
Don't you? Do you
No.
ever deal with those guys?
I deal with them every day.
So what's the alternative then? We just say, well,
We just held our hand out to them.
yeah, well, we bought insurance and this is the kind of emails we get back.
Yeah.
There's definitely another stream of work here, and I'm sure the city manager is all over this, about looking into this, because quite frankly, I'm uncomfortable coming to another city council meeting and sitting in this chair without some reasonable understanding of what kind of coverage the city is providing me, all of our employees that act in our interest, as well as every volunteer member of a board and commission. So when you're talking about things coming to a halt, it could come to a halt for all of us personally if this is not if we're not willing to back up what we thought we already had as coverage
Right.
here.
Understood. I'm just trying to put the insurance company in the position where they pay if they're.
Yeah.
if
Sounds
they
like
can
they're
pay.
going to reimburse if they
And
find.
that sounded like that they would,
Yeah.
if they can reconcile that. And if not, then we're in the same place we would have been.
This email will be saved in multiple places.
I don't
in the
doubt that
event
for a
it
moment.
comes.
All right, so here again, a resolution won't mean anything until Mr. Cummins is served, and choice of counsel, I would like to be mutually agreeable to Mr. Cummins and to the city administration. I would like those to be part of this resolution.
I'm okay with that.
What's that?
Yeah.
I can live with that.
So I don't know if we actually have text of a resolution prepared other than the agenda item.
Do we need anything further, Ryan?
Can we wing it based on this?
I think we could do a motion to approve insurance defense for Mr. Cummins on the David R. Walters lawsuit, subject to the insurance defense being provided only after he has been actually served with the lawsuit, and the choice of actual defense counsel to be mutually acceptable to the council and to Mr. Cummins.
How about a city administration and Mr. Cummings? That's what you
Well, I
proposed.
suggested city administration just for
Yeah,
the,
not
just for the
council.
sake of
Not
efficiency.
council.
I wrote down, okay, agreed.
So, I mean, we have a motion to
I'm good with
open
that.
this, to open this item. Maria, should we have a second motion with these addendums?
Do we have to vote to agree to
Or is
that
this an
amendment?
I think it would be cleanest if you amend the motion to include this language, and then we vote on the motion as a whole. I think that'll be the
I'll
cleanest.
go ahead and
and
make
most
that motion to
straightforward.
amend.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Lowe, second by McLaughlin to amend this language as we discussed. Any questions on the motion? On the motion to amend? Please call the roll.
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
No.
Manetza.
Yes. Further questions on the main motion?
No, but are we positive it's not individual, it's for city council?
Our attorney, did you read did you read his?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Say that again?
Okay. It's not because the lawsuit's against not the individual, but as a city council member. Is that what you're saying?
No, the lawsuit says it is against Mr. Cummins as an individual. That is the pleading in the lawsuit.
But what he is accused of doing is as being a city council member or as an individual?
what he's accused of doing is very sparse, but basically, he's accused of interfering with the employment contract between the BLP board and Mr. Walters. He's accused of supporting the charter amendment to eliminate the BLP, and he's accused of writing a Facebook page which implied guilt of the BLP board and Mr. Walters.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And just before we vote, I would say again that my concern is the larger concern of the effect it has on the service of individuals to be willing to step up and be on council, as opposed to this particular case. So please call the roll.
Second, Bob.
Oh, yes.
I just want to tell you, thank you for making an amendment to it and getting something straightened out a little bit here. So I want to say thank you very much for that.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
No.
Manetza.
Yes.
This motion passes.
Okay. Mr. Cummins, you want to return? All right, that brings us to report by city council. Anybody have something to report?
What a weekend. Jeep Fest and Kite Fest, it was just, the people downtown was just incredible. I mean, the traffic was backed up all the way to 31. It was just an incredible weekend here. And everybody that was involved in both those events should be very proud. The beach was packed, not just for the festival, just to keep people hanging out to sunbathe. So it was an unbelievable weekend. So I want to thank everybody that was involved in both those events.
Thank you.
I'll speak then.
It's your turn.
I had some individuals come up to me and ask me about where they can make donations for trees. And they would like to have trees planted in their yard. And if I remember correctly, send them to Derek. Is that what we do, or?
Are you referencing in the right-of-way?
Yes, they want more trees, and they want to make donations for their family and that, and be able to put trees, especially like in front of their house in the right of way. And they also want to at least buy them for us. I mean, instead of us having to pay money for them, they want to buy trees for us. And they just want to know where they can make the donation to.
Sure. If it's on public property, they can communicate with their Public Works Department.
And they can direct them where to make their donation to.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I told him to get a hold of Derek, but I just wanted to make sure of that. And also, the open house for the DPW, what a fantastic time that was. It was a good showcase of all of our equipment. If you ever had a chance to take a look at that VACOL, they had $448,000 truck. It's unbelievable. I'm sure by the time they bought extra things to go on it, it was probably $500,000 at the time. But that's just one vehicle, and we have many vehicles, loaders, dump trucks, and everything else. I was so impressed with everything that we had down there and the presentation the guys gave. So tell them thank you so very much for the open house and that. It was really well received.
Thank you, Mike.
That's it.
Ron.
Good.
Karen.
Good.
Okay, I'd just like to remind everybody that Memorial Day is coming. The Memorial Day Association has been working diligently for quite a long time now, probably a year, to put on a very good Memorial Day. It's a memorial service, so a celebration of those who have fallen in defense of the nation. So there will be the parade downtown. There will be the service at Waterfront Stadium, which is always very touching and very, very appropriate, very well done. There will be the service at the Eternal Flame and the service at the Grand Army of the Republic lot in Lake Forest Cemetery. So make sure that if you're able and interested, that you come out and enjoy those events. We have begun to close the first block of Washington. We were out there today, this morning, putting out picnic tables. Last weekend, or last Monday, we were out repairing and painting picnic tables. So now we're putting them out and getting ready to close the street, and the barricades should show up Thursday, is it? I think Thursday of this week. So the first block closure is coming and in the works, and we approved tonight certain events which will activate that space better than we have in the past. It won't just be cornhole games and things like that. There will be actual activities, the author's night, the NORA night for kids. There's talk of doing a yoga hour. There's talk of other things, and the DDA is really working hard to activate that space, plan events, and make it so that it's well worth closing that block for the summer. We've noted before that there's sometimes there's some quiet times there, so we'll be minimizing those. So I think it'll be a very successful summer. And I think that's all I've got. So turn it over to Ashley.
Yep, so what you see on the screen here, as you are aware, we did receive 3 proposals for our Chinook Pier project. We are currently making the rounds to different boards and commissions that are more or less considered stakeholders in that property to publicly present those proposals and gather input from those boards, additionally offering the public additional opportunity to hear about the 3 projects that we've received before they make their way to City Council, likely in July. So that schedule is on our website as well as the full proposals. Public is obviously welcome to attend any of those public meetings to hear the proposals presented in full as well. So we're making our way through. We started with the DDA last week, and we're continuing through a number of others before we hit council. And then just a reminder, we're still working through our coffee hour opportunities. We've had a lot of really great conversations with members of the public, so just encourage people to take advantage of that time. First and third Tuesday of each month. Tomorrow we'll be at Kenzie's with our city planner.
Okay. Thank you. Well, that brings us to our second call to the audience. Here's your second opportunity. This time, members of the audience may address council on any item, whether on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their names and address and will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council will hear all comments for future consideration, but will not have any response at this time. Those not physically present who would like to call in may dial 616-935-3203. Maybe the person who called earlier will try again. Who would like to address council? You didn't all stick around just to hear me.
Hi again, Jeffrey Miller, 1120 South Harbor Drive. And it's not really a question or a statement to council, but I was wondering if Ashley, is there a website that people could refer to as it relates to the proposals that were just mentioned?
Comment back, please.
Yeah, please.
The proposals are on, if you are on grandhaven.org, on the homepage, there is a link, Tim can pull it up in the meantime, just to Chinook Pier proposals, at which point it'll take you to a landing page with all of the dates as well as the proposals. So you
Great,
can see on the
and
screen.
again, you said there were 3 proposals?
Correct.
Great, thank you very much. I just wanted to know where the public could get that information.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else?
My name's Dave Barnoski, and I vote in Port Sheldon Township, and the best place to get trees has been missed. Early April, you can order from your Ottawa County Conservation District, and the orders were all picked up on April 19th.
Thank you. If no one else would like to address council, then I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you for coming.